ahead, Dan.
All right, I will call the Shell Rock River Watershed District August 11th, 2026 monthly board meeting to take the please call roll.
Manager Bakken?
Here.
Manager Hanson?
Aye.
Manager Dahl?
Here.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer?
Number 2, public forum. Anybody from the public like to speak? Now we'll move on to number 3, approval of agenda. Any additions, corrections, and deletions?
Mr. Chair, we have one addition under item 5. It'll be 5D. Motion for a possible change order for the Heim restoration project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Hanson?
Aye.
Manager Dahl?
Aye.
Manager Lee? Manager DeBoer?
Aye. Item number 4, consent agenda. The following items will be acted upon without discussion in accordance with the staff recommendation, associated documents, unless a manager requests opportunity for discussion. A, minutes of July 14th, 2026, Shell Rock River Watershed District regular board meeting. B, minutes of the July 14th, 2026, Shell Rock River Watershed District budget workshop. C, July 2026 treasurer's report subject to audit. D, July 2026 project fund treasurer's report subject to audit. E, authorized payment of claims. F, authorized payment of project fund disbursements. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Roll.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Hanson?
Aye.
Manager Dahl?
Aye.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer?
Item 5, the program and project manager Courtney.
Thank you. The first item I have is a Upper Twin Lake WMA wetland plan approval. This is a resolution 2026-09. So this funding comes out of our Lessard Sam's phase 11 habitat restoration program funding. This is a project that is on the old Church Lake property, so property that we had expired and transferred over to DNR. We had funding in this phase to do the restoration. We posted the public hearing for the project at last month's meeting. And I had printed out the plans then, but I also printed them out for you again. There's a first and a second. I will read the resolution.
First. Second.
Right, resolution 2026-09, Upper Twin Lake WMA Wetland Project, approved project plan, project number 2025-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Upper Twin Lake WMA Wetland Project 2025-02 was initiated on November 10, 2025 by resolution 2025-07. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined the approval of the project plan will further the objective of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote public interest and welfare, is practical, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District, Section 1, approves the Upper Twin Lake WMA Wetland Project Plan as presented by Jones Hagen Smith, and Section 2 authorizes district staff to conduct work as needed to present this project to the board for final review and public hearing as required by law. Dated August 11, 2026.
Have any discussion?
I'd just like to point out that we're working jointly with the DNR project, and they are completing all of the WACA permits right now. So once those are all finalized, then we'll plan establish it as next on the agenda and put it out for
Discussion. None.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Hanson? Manager Dahl?
Aye.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer?
Thank you. The next item is the establishment order, resolution 2026-10. This follows our 103D process and watershed management of establishing the project.
Motion.
Yes.
Second.
Second. Sorry.
Okay, I will read the resolution. Resolution 2026-10, Upper Twin Lake WMA Wetland Project, project establishment for project number 2025-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Upper Twin Lake WMA Wetland Project 2025-02 was initiated on November 10th, 2025 by Resolution 2025-07. Whereas the project plan was forwarded to the Board of Water and Soil Resources and Department of Natural Resources for their review on June 25th, 2026. Bowser comments were received by letter dated August 5th, 2026, and comments were received from DNR on August 5th, 2026. Whereas on August 11th, 2026, by Resolution 2026-09, the Board of Managers approved the specification for the project. Whereas a public hearing was held on July 14th, 2026 to review the project plan. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined that the approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds the project has the potential to promote the public interest and welfare, is feasible, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved, Shell Rock River Watershed District hereby Section 1, establish project number 2025-02, Upper Twin Lake WMA Wetland Project. Section 2 authorizes district staff to complete the project as set forth in the project plan. And Section 3 authorizes district staff to obtain bids, request for approvals, and enter into any other agreements or contracts necessary to complete the project. Dated August 11th, 2026.
Any discussion?
Question, Courtney, it's according to drawings here, it's got a berm that we're gonna build a berm, and then how much acres of water will be created?
It's a pretty small one. I don't have the exact acreage and I know it's not in the plan right now. I can get that information to you. I know Steve had mentioned what the pool volume is, but I can maybe pull it up in my email here after my items and let you know.
Was it 5?
Is the what you wanna call it, the drawdown structure or?
Nope, it's just gonna be a clay berm with a hard set overflow elevation,
Okay.
so when water overtops, it's gonna naturally spill over the spillway. Yep. So this one will not have modification to the wetland, it's just gonna be once the elevation gets high enough, it'll overflow. This was a historic wetland, there was a ditch that was dug in the middle, so it's essentially just plugging in that ditch that was dug.
So how does that the Bowser Bay, if at all?
So like the Bowser wetland banking.
Yes,
So we're not doing a wetland bank on this project. We purchased this using Lassard Sam's funding and we have to do a notice of funding restrictions, so we can't do a wetland bank.
so Bowser can't use it
Correct.
for, okay,
So it's just restoring a historic wetland.
okay, thank you.
The one thing that's to be determined is where the clay is going to come from. The DNR did get approval to use clay that's in the wetland fringe areas. We don't know if that clay is gonna be suitable, so they're gonna try and get clay from upland sources. There might be cultural review issues that take place. We're gonna try to use clay on site if possible, but if worse comes to worse, we might have to import it from somewhere else. I know we do have some at the CDF, but we're gonna try to maintain the materials from the source itself of being on site. So that's just subject to change once we get a contractor and see what kind of clay is out there. For the firm.
Any other discussion? Any other roll?
Manager Backham,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Dahl,
Aye.
Manager Lee, Manager DeBoer.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. The next item I have is project updates, going kind of project by project. The Hine wetland restoration, you've seen that the equipment was mobilized down to the site. They have started conducting some scrapes out there. A large amount of the scrapes on the south side of the project have been completed. However, rain's kind of been delaying things a little bit. We have until the end of October for a substantial completion date. However, the contractor himself has a date set of September 8th that he would like to be off the site by. For the channel restoration project, we have completed the EAW, which is the environmental assessment worksheet. We're planning to submit that to the EQB today by 4, so that it goes out for its 30-day public comment period by next Tuesday at noon. We did do some early coordination. We did send this to the DNR for early review and draft, and we did get their comments back. So we're again working with the DNR on early coordination. So that will be out for 30 days. We tentatively might need a workshop at the end of September to go over the comment letters and the findings of the EAW. And then we would have a board meeting would issue a declaration on the findings. For the Sanderson Wetland Project, we do have a public hearing that is scheduled at the County Commissioner's Office on August 18th at 10:30. That is a result of when we're doing the wetland restoration project out there, we are planning on abandoning 2 county laterals. And so as a result of that, we have to go through the public hearing process through the county for the ditch system for abandonment. So that's the 18th. So Bowser, which is the Board of Water and Soil Resources, is engineering that project as well as jointly with the DNR. They'll come down and be present at that. Another thing to note, I mentioned at the last meeting that we did have some watershed-based implementation funds available for cover crops. That application period closed August 1st, and we received a lot. It was the most interest we had. We received total contract amount of $736,000 worth of cover crop funding. We did not have that much to fund, so we unfortunately did have to nix some people that could not receive funding, but we ended up approving roughly $234,000 worth of cover crop contracts between our 2 WBIF grants that we have. So we approved $112,000 out of our 2.0 grant and $122,000 out of our 3.0 grant. Our priority was to fund ground that is upstream of Fountain Lake and upstream of Albertley Lake, because those are our 2 priority areas. So there were people who are in lesser priority areas that did not receive funding. So one thing that we discovered is that this is the first time that we had an ask that was much larger than the amount of funds that we had available. Normally, we've been able to fund everyone in at least some capacity, whether it was just the cost of seed. And unfortunately, we did not have enough money this time to do that. So we did have to nix some people out. But we're planning on working at a grading rubric, because one of the things that local staff discussed is how do you prioritize new producers? So someone, if they've never implemented cover crops before, but they're in a priority area for location, do we give them a higher preference than someone who's been doing cover crops for 20 years, but is in a little bit higher of a priority area? So say they're in the tier 3 category. So we need to work on a grading rubric of basically who would we prefer to give funding to, the new producers or the people who have been doing it already and may continue to do it on their own without our funding. So those are things that staff are going to be working on this fall to try and present to our policy committee to help us kind of guide in the instance where we're going to get applications that exceed the amount of funding that we have. If there's no other questions, I will move on to our item D that was added. It was a potential change order discussion for the Hine wetland restoration. So the situation that we have is in our phase 11 habitat restoration program funding, it expires June 30th of next year. We have roughly, and I'm going to use round numbers here to make it somewhat simple. We have roughly $760,000 left to spend by June 30th. We have 3 projects left to complete. One is the Hine restoration that is taking place right now. The second is this upper twin wetland that we just approved. And the third is the AMA restoration stream bank fixes from the project along the river there, where we had those rock riffle structures that need more rock. So we have those 3 projects, and we have engineers' estimates. Well, we have a contracted amount for Hine. We have a very strong engineer's estimate for the upper twin wetland. In the AMA, we don't have that number quite yet of what the engineer's estimate is going to be. We potentially forecasted that we were going to have extra funds available. And so when we bid Hine wetland restoration, we put in an alternate that allowed them to say, if we have additional scrapes, what would be your price per cubic yard to do an additional scrape? Plus, what would be your cost per acre of seeding? Because if we had extra funds available, we would then be able to say, do X amount of additional yardage of scrape at this price so that we could eat up the budget that we had. So what happened now is we have a contractor on site at Hine, and he has roughly 3 weeks to a month worth of work. And so he wants to be off-site September 8th. That does not give us enough time that if we put a change order on our September board meeting, he might already be demobilized off the site. So staff recommendation is to potentially allow Andy to enter into a change order that would allow us to do additional scrapes on that site. However, we don't know what that dollar amount would be yet because I don't have an engineer's estimate of cost for the AMA project. So there's some potential unknowns out there because one, I don't have the engineer's estimate for this at the AMA at this time, but I should within the next 2 to 3 weeks have a very strong number. So we run the risk of, we wait until September to approve a change order, but then that contractor is already gone, and then we would have to essentially put it back out for bid, get another contractor to come, and we don't know if we're gonna get the same prices that we have. I wanna point out that when we put the Hine project out for bid, engineers' estimated cost was $328,000. The lowest contractor that we entered into an agreement with was Groundworks Backhoe Service for $227,000. So he was roughly $100,000 underneath engineer's estimate. Additionally, his unit price per acre scrape is $375. The average is $491 or $471. And his unit price per acre of seeding is $1,985, and the average was $2,259. So he is well under the average that we received. Obviously, he was the lower, but I did print out the bid tabulation if you want to see. So if we do the change order now and spend the funds now, we're getting a good price. But there is the potential unknown. So the cons of potentially doing this are the 2 other projects come higher. And then we don't have enough money because we did the additional scrapes. But at that point, then I could just reduce the scope of the work at the AMA project. So it all comes down to timing. Essentially, we could, in a couple weeks, I'll have a good engineer's estimate for the AMA. And if that's higher than what we think, we don't have to do the change order. You're just giving Andy the potential to approve a change order if we have extra funds available, not saying we'll use it. But I just don't want to run the risk of him leaving the site and us not being locked into these good prices. And then we would have to do it next spring, rebid it, have to pay mobilization fees, and then we wouldn't get as much scraping done because some of that cost would have to go to mobilizing a contractor block on the site. So staff's recommendation right now is potentially just to give Andy the authority to enter into a change order up to $100,000. So what we're planning on doing is just the cost difference of the engineer's estimate from what the actual bid was. That once we get the engineer's estimate for the AMA project, then we could potentially allow the contractor that's out there to do X amount of scrapes based on the pricing that we have.
So what's the official motion?
This is a very complex thing, but ultimately we don't want to have to send money back to the state. So the potential motion would be to allow Andy to enter into a change order for the Hine Wetland Restoration Project, not to exceed $100,000. And again, not saying we would do it, because if the AMA comes in and says, nope, we need every penny, then we wouldn't. But I just don't want to run the risk of the contractor being gone and then we lose these prices.
Yes.
I know we don't have a motion on the floor, but can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
What can we use these funds for? Can we use them for stormwater?
No, these are habitat only funds, so that's where these wetland restorations are habitat funded only. They're not water storage, although they have a secondary benefit of creating water storage, but they're habitat, so could not be used for stormwater.
What do you call your ponds then? You call them habitat ponds? I mean, state or what?
Wetland restrictions.
Wetland. So I have to change my terminology to get
Yep.
my name.
You gotta buy a pizza.
Well,
And I would like to point out that these wetlands are seasonal in nature, so they're shallow scrapes, so based on the forecast from talking with our engineer yesterday, it would roughly be 12 acres in size at 1 foot depth. So it'd be a combination of like 3 small scrapes. And the reason with that is in mind of US Fish and Wildlife's guidance is they like smaller wetlands for like breeding. So like when you look at ducks coming in and spring breeding, they want smaller wetlands that are themselves. They don't prefer one big, large, deep wetland. They want the smaller, shallow. And so we would follow that guidance that in the very south side of that field, where it's very peaty in nature, we would do 3 small scrapes to get that cubic yardage, to get those seasonal wetland depressions. The habitat benefit.
So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second. I'm sorry. Did. I was, yeah.
any more discussion?
Question. So basically be the saving the, $10,000 mobilization fee is the biggest. Saver,
And
9 to 12 on the bottom 3 bids.
yeah, well, I'm trying to see what they, so mobilization, if you look, the average was 21,000. So granted, it, and no guarantee that Groundworks backhoe would be able to be available to come in and mobilize. So I would say it would probably be more around that $21,000 in mobilization, where as if we do the change order now, we already paid that mobilization cost. So yes, that could potentially be an option. If we wanted to be very safe, we could say, nope, we're not gonna do the additional scrapes right now. We're gonna wait until we have bids and contracts signed for both of those other projects. But then we would just run the risk of, it would be more expensive to spend those funds at that time.
So how many acres scraped did you say?
It was 12 acres roughly at 375 a cubic yard. I think when the engineer, yeah, that'll be.
And if they got busy and we're doing something else, you first of the.
$70,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right, we could do this 2 ways, we could wait, but then we're not gonna get the cost effective scraping that we already have with the contractor who's
Yeah.
on site.
Why, a question I have, just in general. Change orders. Why does the full board need to approve change orders?
So that's a good
Is
question.
that in our rules?
Yeah, so Andy has the authority to approve change orders
Up to,
of 30,000.
okay, thank you.
And so this
thank
would
you.
exceed that.
Yes, the rest have to go from.
I've done, I did a million.
So he wants to be out by the
Without
8th of
approval.
September. And our next meeting is.
Correct. So it's just unfortunate timing, and our engineer has been working on getting the engineer's estimate. We just need to have a couple of check-in meetings with the DNR to see if, the plans would be okay to get an accurate engineer's estimate. But just DNR is busy and we haven't had a chance to have those meetings, but within the next 2 weeks, we'll have more concrete numbers.
Okay, so this farm comes off the county's maintenance fund. So have we thought about putting some of this money towards the maintenance of the system that used to drain this farm, or probably still will, overflows?
So the thing about this farm is it's all private tile that leaves, so technically it's not in any county ditch system because it's all private. However, this will get donated to the US Fish and Wildlife, and they do upfront payments to the county. They have their payment program for taxes that are assessed.
I'd like to see a little more in the contractor world. That we could ask Mark, but if there's another 100,000 on the table, the contractor will stay another week. That's the way it is when they move into a site, so.
And that could happen, but if we get great weather and he finishes up, I just don't want him to demobilize. But that's why we forecasted this, and that's why we intentionally put bid alternate prices in the bid, so that we knew that they would be fine with bidding an alternate, and if so, at what price.
So it was already envisioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to keep flexibility.
Good.
And I mean, he came in, like, it was very competitive. I mean, we got like 7 or 8 contractors that bid this, so it was very competitive, and again.
375.
And so we run the risk of if next spring we do it, it's gonna be $450, $475, and then you still have to pay the mobilization.
Yep. Fuel is high price too.
And groundworks, I assume has time, that's not the issue since he's there.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as, and he's been asking us like, is there gonna be additional scrapes? Is there gonna be additional scrapes? So it's, yeah, he's got the people there and the time to do it, so. Yeah, he's at Janesville, I believe.
Do you need a motion of sorts?
So we have a first and a second.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion? There you go.
Manager Bakken,
Nay.
Manager Hanson,
I,
Manager Dahl,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye. Motion carried. Move on to item 6, Commissioner Andy Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item is the Shell Rock River Watershed District Committee list. So we're gonna basically go through the committee list, make the changes, and then at the end, we'll have a final motion to approve the new committee list with those changes. So just starting on page 1, mine looks a little different because we did some alterations to it. Before we sent out, after we send out the ones that you have. But the first committee, of course, is the executive committee. That one is set by the chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. So chair. So ones that sit on that right now are Manager DeBoer as chair, Manager Hanson as vice chair, Manager Bakken as treasurer, and Manager Delger as secretary. We have next the dredge committee. Right now we have Dan DeBoer, Al Bakken, and McDelger on that committee, and we're looking for one alternate to sit on the dredge committee. You or Wes?
Or Wes can have. Or Wes.
Yeah.
All right, so that fills the dredge committee. Then we have the personnel committee. Right now, on the personnel committee, we have Manager Hanson, Manager Delger, and Manager DeBoer. I know Manager Delger would like off the personnel committee, and I did get a request from Manager Lee to sit on the personnel committee. So I am looking for one more person to sit on the personnel committee.
Mr. Dan DeBoer, move up 1 spot.
No, I think I got enough. What else?
3 to 4 times a year. 3 to 4 times a year is roughly for anywhere from 1 to 2 hours.
If nobody else, I'll step in. Somebody else can be an alternate.
I'll be an alternate, but I don't want to be. That's okay. If anybody else wants it, that's fine.
All right, thank you. The next committee is the Citizens Advisory Committee in the Lakes Foundation. This committee usually met about once a month. When COVID started, that kind of changed. I believe this committee is fortified once a year. So again, not a big ask here. But right now we have Joe Pasuski sits on that committee. I would like to have one alternate for that committee.
I was on it. So.
Okay.
I'll be the alternate.
Thank you, Mike.
So how do these meetings work? I get a little confused. Does somebody call the meeting or does? somebody-
Yeah, so staff will usually call the meeting, we'll usually talk with the chair. Or if we'll talk with that subcommittee. And we line everything up, we get the dates. Some of these committees, when we have outside representation, whether it's a group or other members or residents, we will work with them too to find a date that works for everybody. We'll set the agendas and then we'll hold the meeting.
So it's really a staff driven
Yeah,
meetings. and
mostly they're
staff
all,
pulls together
all
time,
staff
place.
driven, yeah.
And-
And no action is taken at any of these subcommittees. Anything that comes out of these committees then comes to the board. If there's any motions or resolutions that come from these committees, so all of there's no actions taken at any of these committees. It's all then brought to the board for final approval or action if there's actions needed.
So is there usually a staff person at each one of these?
Yes. All right, so the next is rules committee. We don't very often change our rules. I can't even tell you the last time this committee met. However, you never know when something's gonna come up and we need to discuss a possible rule change. But right now on this committee is Manager Hanson, Manager Lee, and Manager Pasuski, and Manager Delger as the alternate. I did not get anybody or any feedback from people that wanted off that committee, so I think we are good with that one. The next committee is the strategic plan committee. On this committee, we have Manager Bakken, Manager Pasuski, and as an alternate, Manager Hanson. So I'm looking for one more manager, and it could possibly be if Mike's willing to move up into the committee, we would need an alternate.
I think we're seeing that as a pattern already. We're alternate, so.
What?
Yeah, it looks like it to me.
It seems like.
That's okay.
So we will put Manager Hanson as the committee, and then who would like to be an alternate? I go. Okay. Thank you. The next one is the strategic budgeting committee.
Wow, as treasurer, I'd like to move up is what I'm saying. If that's okay.
Okay. So then we'll leave Manager Hanson as the alternate.
You're gonna print this out.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll get you all new copies. The next is the One Watershed, One Plan Policy Advisory Committee. There is no changes to this committee. This committee is sort of set by the One Watershed, One Plan policy in the direction of Bowser. And right now we have Chair as Manager Delger, Secretary is Commissioner Edwin, Vice Chair is Councilman Baker. And we have Brad Kramer on there as a SWCD. And then alternates for us is Manager Bakken. So then moving on to the fish management. Again, this is another committee that hasn't met.
So you don't need another person.
No, I don't need anybody for that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we are good for the One Watershed, One Plan Policy Advisory. The next committee is the fish management. Again, this committee has not met
Ever,
in quite a while.
ever since I've been on the board.
Yeah, I think the last time this committee met is when we were working on the Pickerel Lake restoration, and then also working with the fish barrier and the stocking programs that we were working with DNR on stocking northern pike, bluegill, and perch. But again, I like to have it just in case something comes up, then we can get the committee together. So right now I have Manager Hanson and Manager Delger as an alternate. And I don't think we need another manager unless another manager would like to. Mike?
I also.
Perfect. All right, moving on to the next one, we have the Pickerel Lake Subcommittee. This committee again has not met since we did the Pickerel Lake restoration. One thing I will tell you though is I'm getting a lot of interest from residents around Pickerel Lake about implementing another restoration, just because we are seeing some parameters on Pickerel Lake's water quality decreasing. So they are pushing DNR And have wrote to the watershed district and I have talked to them about getting this committee back up and going. And possibly looking at another restoration on Pickerel Lake. So I do assume that this committee will start getting active again. Right now, I do have Manager Bakken, Manager Lee, and Manager Pasuski that sit on this committee. However, I am looking for more residents that live around the lake. So if you have recommendations, Dan, I know you had one.
Yeah, Dan Springboard.
And then we will also then, if you have other people that you think would be interested, please let us know so we can reach out to them. But I'm looking at 4 or 5 other representatives from landowners there. And then we have Manager Delger as an alternate on that one.
Another one that we don't know.
Yeah. Or if there's anybody in the from the public that's watching, on Facebook, if you want to sit on a committee like this, the Pickle Lake Subcommittee, feel free to reach out to us and let us know that you have interest in sitting on that committee. The next committee we're looking at is the Sales Tax Committee. Of course, this is going to be a more active committee looking at the sales tax renewal. And right now I have Manager Bakken, Manager DeBoer, and Manager Delger. I'm assuming I haven't heard that any of those are off that committee. So we do not need any to fill that position. Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you, so I do need an alternate for that committee. For what? For the sales tax committees. I'll do. Okay. Thank you, Member Anthony. The next committee is the Fountain Lake Channel Restoration Committee. This is a pretty large committee where we really were looking for feedback from local citizens. So you can see we also have quite a few staff members from City of Albert Lea. We have other staff members, or excuse me, other representation from like the Anglers Club and other groups. On this committee, as far as managers, we have Manager Hanson and Manager Lee. And so I think that committee is sitting good.
Question, has this committee met lately at all?
Courtney, when's the last time they met? Earlier this summer?
The channel one?
Yep.
Yes, there's been 3 meetings so far. And it's kind of as needed with how project plans are going. So I would assume within the next 2 years, maybe plan 3 to 4 meetings a year.
Are those minutes available from those meetings or who?
So how we've done those meetings is kind of more like a round table where we have like post-it notes on boards. So no, there's technically not meeting minutes for that. I mean, we do have all of the comments that we received type up, but there's no like official meeting minutes. Just because they've been so like, put your comment on a post-it note, stick it on this kind of board. So Bar has all of that information that I could request if needed.
Well, I'd like to see it next month if it's
Yeah.
I know the project moves along, but
Yep. And when we first started the project, we kind of only had the intention of doing the channel. However, with looking at our funding available and realizing the dam is going to really impact how the channel looks, we've incorporated the channel back in. But now that we've incorporated the dam into the channel, so the channel's kind of a little bit on pause because there's a lot of engineering and modeling that needs to be figured out with the dam first. And so that's where the EAW is doing both the dam and the channel. But we need to figure out the hydrology of the dam before we design the channel. So we started with channel, brought in the dam. So now the channel's a little bit on hold until we figure out more of the design of the dam. That makes sense. It's going to be a complex one just because the structure of the dam and how it's built is basically on the same concrete slab that Bridge Avenue sits on. And so we really need to, the engineers have to work very out of the box thinking when it comes to redoing the dam, just because it's all on the same structure as Bridge Avenue, and to make sure that we don't affect the integrity of Bridge Avenue. Their pylons, and so, and another thing to make it complex is the storm sewer that's right out in front of the dam, so. More than likely, because it's a gravity flow, we're gonna have to do an arch style to be able to meet capacity and the cover that's needed on that pipe. And so FAR's been, we've been having meetings almost weekly on that project, but yes, I can get you.
Well, I've seen a drawing someplace from the public.
Yes.
The where it came from.
We have one concept drawing right now. The plan is that FAR is gonna get us about 3 concept plans, and we will take those 3 concept plans to the advisory committee to narrow them down.
You wanna take the north route and
The problem that we have there is the further we go out into the lake with our rock arch style rocks, the more expensive it's gonna be because we need to import materials. But we also need to make sure that we can meet hydrology of getting enough water over the dam, because all of that area is in a flood zone. And so we need to make sure that we need to prove that we're showing a no rise because we're in a flood zone. Some floodways have a slight tolerance, but because we're within a known flood zone and that the zoned a certain degree, it's like the highest degree of floodway you can have. We have to show a no rise. So it's a lot of modeling and a lot of different variations of where the rocks are gonna be situated to get how much water is gonna be able to flow over those rocks so that we show that we're doing a no rise.
I should know this, but we're the lead agency on this, right?
Correct, we are.
So is the county involved at all?
The county sits on the advisory committee, there is a county commissioner that sits on that, but it's mostly just us and the city. Being that the city owns the dam, the city owns the bridge, and they own the ground the channel sits on it. And so we're working on a joint powers agreement, so we've been working together in a good faith, with them right now, but Steph and us have been working on securing a joint powers agreement with the city of Alberta that I anticipate will be done within the next 2 months.
So has the city replaced Holly and Jason yet? Holly Carson, she's in Europe,
Yep,
and Jason Halson.
I believe that change was made, that we updated it to be Conrad. Is Conrad on that list?
Yes, he is. We have updated that list since we sent it out.
Yeah.
So we do have Conrad, CBD. We asked, Councilman, Herman on there for
Okay.
city council representation,
Okay.
for Jason.
My other comment, I'd like to see, I know we're the lead agency, but I'd like to see a little more public participation in the process of this. I don't know if that's happening.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the next committee, we're actually be taking 2 committees, we're gonna combine them into 1 committee. And that's the stormwater committee that Manager Bakken wanted to add a few meetings ago. And then we have a drainage committee, so we want to just make it a stormwater / drainage committee to look at all of those issues. So right now I need 4 members on that committee. I have received interest from Manager Bakken and Manager Dahl. So if there's any others that would like to sit on that.
Yes.
Okay, so I got Manager Hanson and
I'll be the alternate.
Mike will be the alternate, okay. Perfect. All right, 3 committees left. The Upper Lake Committee, this is another committee, again, that has not met for a while. However, you know, depending on sales tax renewal, I plan on this committee starting to meet again to look forward towards the restoration of Albert Lee Lake. Right now, I have Manager DeBoer on this committee, and I have Manager Lee as an alternate. So we'll push Manager Lee into the spot that was vacated. So we'll have Manager DeBoer, Manager Lee, and Manager Pasuski as managers on this. So I will need an alternate. Does anybody want to be an alternate for the Albert Lee Lakes? Wesley? All right, thank you. The next is the communications committee. This committee, again, we have two managers, Manager DeBoer, Manager Delder. I think it works. I mean, we haven't met for a while. Usually this is committee that meets when we need to improve communication with an agency or within staff. So I think that's a good committee and don't see any changes have to be made. The next is City of Elbert Lee and Freeborn County liaisons. We have Manager Lee for the county, and we have Manager Delger for the city. And again, these are just when they attend, when Watershed District has issues or has items on the agendas for either city or county. A lot of times I'll reach out to these managers to attend those meetings with me. So I think Mike wants to stay and Delder would like to stay as well. So I think we're good there. And then the County Ditch Committee, that is the committee that we're getting rid of because we added it to the stormwater / drainage. So with that, Mr. Chair, if we can get a motion and a second to approve the 2026-2027 list.
We have a motion. So second. Any discussion?
I would make sure that that channel committee is set, that you know everybody's gonna participate there.
Yep, and Courtney, if I remember right, we've had pretty good attendance on that committee.
We have,
Your list is updated more than mine.
Yep, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get a new list, but yes.
yeah, there's been a lot of buzz on that project, so it's been very well attended.
Any other discussion? You call
Manager Backham.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Dahl.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
roll. Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item B is just a quick update on the audit. The audit is in process. We did have a deadline of August 15th. I know we had Dan in to send to see if we could extend that to the end of August to give the auditor a little bit more time. So he believes he'll be done right around that August 15th date. And if we don't get the extension, he will have it done for us. After that, he wants to meet. The way we've done it in the past is we've had him meet here with staff and the chair and the treasurer to go through the audit and then to give any comments back to the auditor, who then can then answer the questions for the chair, and then we bring it to a full board and give them a recap at the September board meeting. So we're looking for that meeting with the treasurer and the chair sometime late August. And then from there, we'll give the full board the update and overview of the audit at the September, potentially the September 8th to open, have everything finalized. So. Last thing is just item C is the Fall Lake Restoration, East Main Bay and Bancroft Bay update. Again, the dredge project on Bancroft Bay is going well. They have finished everything up to the northeast, pretty much right where Bancroft Creek actually dumps into Bancroft Bay. They did complete that last week, so now they are starting to move their way down to the southern point portion of the channel. Staff has been notifying the landowners that can be impacted with their docks and lifts. With that 30-foot setback on the far side, we were asking them to graciously remove their docks and lifts by September 1st. And again, we're not making them, we're not telling them they have to, it's just for safety and if we want to have a really good complete project that could inhibit the project. So we're asking them nicely to remove their docks and lifts. Most people have been ecstatic. Glad it's coming. The calls we get are are quite interesting. Everybody's excited for the dredge to get down into that area. So again, we're expecting them to finish down to the south, and then they're gonna cut up and do those channels to the west. And then they'll come back and work on that whole portion just north of the Brookside Bridge. So again, they're looking at completion in that area first part of November, first or second week in November, to be done in that area. And then they would demob, and when I say demob, move all their stuff probably to the north area of where the staging area is, and then basically get everything ready for winter and remob in spring to start on the soft portion of the project. So, any other questions on the dredge project? How it's going? Anybody want a tour out there? I haven't got any calls yet.
Sure. We're at a good time.
Well, the next few weeks I had a good time, so I'm taking some vacations. So
Towards the end of the last. Time.
yeah, we can figure it out. But we'll really want to get you guys. So it's actually pretty interesting to see it. One thing I will say, and I don't remember if I said this at the last meeting, but when we were up in that north part of the lake, I mean, the water levels are down a little bit, but not much. But there was probably 12 acres in that back area. It was 4 inches deep. It's all
Sure.
I mean, the whole bay was 4 inches deep. We took it down to 6. That's a lot.
6 feet.
6 feet.
Wow.
So, pretty impressive. So,
There's some black dirt at the south site. Is that available or do you have a process for?
we don't have any black dirt at the transfer site that's available at this time. We have a lease agreement. Was with Jensen Excavating. They transferred that lease agreement to Central Cable. So that was the material we sold back in 2020. I think we sold that. And then the piles that came out of CDF cell 1, the contractor has 5 years to use that material if he wants. At that time, whatever's left. So
Both his file and his file is, I'm sure, forever, but.
yeah, the stuff on the stat on piece is theirs forever. The stuff on ours is a 10 years for all that stuff. Otherwise, any other questions for me with anything? Just to note one thing, Courtney was talking about that, the dam removal and looking at that project. And I think Courtney says stormwater, but it's actually a city sanitary sewer line that actually runs in front of the dam. So that is making it a little bit trickier, as Courtney mentioned. The one thing the city is going to be doing if we do that is they will actually be paying for upsizing that pipe that goes through there. So they will have that as their expense, not only developed in the MOU. So yeah.
All right, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Move to item 7, manager's item. James Weir, also.
Yes, Mr. Chair, so I put this in manager's items because this gentleman sent this letter in and addressed both the managers for the Shell Rock and then also the city council. So I think if you had read his letter that was included in the packets. Anyways, looking at this, I have not had time to meet with Steve Yonke yet to discuss this. But I think it's definitely interesting. He's definitely thought about this. And he's actually put it on paper, and that's more than most people do. So I just wanted to put it in your agenda packets to have you look at. Staff will bring you some input on this letter once I talk with the city to see what their thoughts are on this letter. But I think, again, he put it on paper. It's pretty laid out. And he put some thought in it, so I really appreciate that, from him. One thing to note, for most of you that don't know, this is the Danes Bay area. This was dredged back in, 2019. One thing to note, if you remember when we did that dredge project, we actually dredged out basically a sediment basin there, knowing that material would fill in there first, so we dug it deeper. And if you also remember in that permit, we could actually go in there and clean those out and don't need an additional permit to do that. So we could actually go in there with like a long reach and dig that out. One plan I do have is why I have Dan Brennan here doing the dredge project. I'm gonna have them see if they'll go survey those sediment basins for us. We also have one at Wedge Creek and then one where White's Lake dumps in. So I'm gonna have them survey those so we can get an estimate of how much material spilled into those areas since we dredged them. And that will sort of give us an outlook of what our maintenance plan should be to maybe go in and remove some of that material out of those sites. So that's one thing I will do is see if they can go back there and do some depth surveys. They've done them in the past for us, so I think they will definitely be willing to do it for us when we get some free time. But then I can bring that information back to the board as well.
Has anybody responded back to him?
I have not responded back to him. I wanted to bring it in front of you guys first. And again, just get your guys' feedback. Again, he actually put some really good thought in here. I don't know much about this James Weir. I mean, he seems like he's almost like an engineer because he's got a lot of thought in here. So it'd be interesting. I wish he would have left his phone number. I'd like to call and just talk to him about try to find out.
I would like to add to Al's question. I was able to look back in emails, and for the upper Glen wetland, it's 3 acres in size.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other manager items?
We've got a couple things, but somebody else must be first, that'd be great.
I went to the water commission meeting and. You know, they're gonna have that public hearing next week on the ditch down there in Grass Lake. And then they put in, and they also put in for top. They put in for funding for the trails from 74 up to 14, so put in funding with it. So they did that. I lost my spot. That's the two things that kind of affected us. Sorry about that.
Are you ready?
Yeah, keep going.
So I've been talking the last couple of months about some habitat scrapes or stormwater ponds, whatever you want to call them, on I-35. And I know the funding cycle probably is in spring, isn't it, Courtney, for?
That is correct. You know, it's normally apply in May to
Okay.
get funding the following June of the year, a year later.
So I've got two on my plate here. One is on County Ditch 16, which is south of Overly. So if anybody of the managers, I know staff knows, I think where it's at and everything, but if anybody wants to go out there and take a look at it with me, I'd like to show it to you. I'd like to bring in some maps next month. I'd like to get a resolution going, maybe a committee meeting, one from now till end, but I think we talked about 35, 40 acres of stormwater coming off the freeway. And I think we gotta attack these problems in the long run here. They've been sitting there for 40, 50, 60 years or whatever. So that's one of my projects I like to go with first. And the other one is the way station at Clark's Grove. And I was informed this last week, they're still acquiring property for that. And so there should be some stormwater ponds incorporated in the new acquisition of land, and then the water moves to the west up there. I think Mark knows that. Moves to the west up there, so we need some stormwater or habitat ponds on the west side of the freeway. They kind of abandoned the way station on the south Hollow Lane. But it's still, the concrete's still there and everything,
Yeah,
so.
On the
So
other
there might be
side.
some land with that site there for. I think it's county ditch. I wanna say 55 or
It goes with the bank.
and that water comes to Fountain Lake, you know, and. I would say in a matter of a couple days, then Fountain Lake.
So the way that MinDOT moves. I don't know if they've already acquired the land. The way MinDOT moves, their scoping takes a long time. I would recommend that the watershed district get a hold of them post haste and find out if there could be a meeting set up. Cause they move slow and they have a lot of meetings. And it's like, yeah, it just takes a long time. That would probably need to be probably staff directed. So that, yeah,
So Manager Bogdan, if it's fine with you, I'd like to probably set up a committee meeting with. The committee members, go through the maps, the projects, and get some detail. I don't know if we'll be ready for the September meeting. But we can definitely try. Out for the next 2.5 weeks, so it makes it a little tough for me. But I think we can definitely get that rolling, especially the county ditch. I can reach out to MinDOT locally here to see who would be the contact for that project at the weigh station. And then potentially maybe we have that committee can also then at some point meet with the staff from MinDOT to discuss that too.
you could start in Rochester, that office, they redirect you over time. There's 2 districts, 6A and 6B. In this area, so if you reach out to Rochester. Or I could, if you want, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you got more of those contacts.
I will do that.
You call you side like so.
No, I'm retiring soon. I can do that.
No, that'd be wonderful.
If Al gives me some detail. What? Can you email me? What your thoughts are on both sites?
Want me to put it in writing?
I would like to add for your CD 16, there have been some additional landowners that came forward to us about wanting to potentially put water in their property because it drowns out. We have talked to the SWC, there is a potential that maybe we could use some of our watershed-based implementation funding to do a feasibility study. And once we get the outcomes from that feasibility study, we could potentially apply for a competitive grant through Bowser, because they have funds that are more detailed towards stormwater than habitat. So it could potentially be an avenue that we could apply for funding to do, but eventually someone's gonna have to give up ground, and where that is, we'd have to figure out what the cost would be.
So this could end up being a central office issue too. Instead of just 6A or 6B district.
I look at this as a pilot project, or project. I don't. Mike would know if it's being done on another old I-90 or
I tried
you tried that?
over by Austin, I tried, but. Didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Just before you get into Austin, there's a field up the north side that.
That's terrible.
Carrots, yeah, it's Dalton's now, I think. It floods all the time and they cut off the drainage when you built the freeway through there. It goes across Old Highway 16, which is down the road. Right. It goes across there, but when it gets to Carrots, it's bottlenecked at the freeway. And then it continues through Cotton on the south side of the freeway. So.
Then my only other comment is, I know Nick and I have been out on county ditches once in a while. I was out with Christopher Nelson with the county ditch inspector the other day and few things, but we had in the prior days, we had an ID badge.
Yep.
That identified us. And I'd like to see those that want on the committee here to get an ID badge, because I kind of flashed mine the other day, but wasn't very official. But
Yep, we can get, we'll work with the county to get those.
The ditches are 60, 70s, 80 years old. So and there's gonna be all kinds of work on them in the future with the tile, so we need to be involved.
Wait till all the tiles start to fail across the town.
They already got to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Items? Move on to 8, upcoming meetings. Budget workshop. Be determined. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll be gone the 28th to.
Next board meeting, September 8th. And Minnesota Watershed Summer Tour, August 25th and 27th. And with that, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
Might have to look at